Imagine waking up, pouring your morning coffee, and realizing you have just applied to 900 jobs while you were completely asleep.
That sounds like an actual nightmare, honestly.
But it is happening. Welcome to the Marketing Mixer. Today we're exploring this massive disruption that's just fundamentally rewriting how businesses operate from the inside out.
Yeah, from the very core.
Exactly. But before we get into the trenches of all that, I just have to say, looking out the window today, I mean, it genuinely feels like March is delivering. Spring looks like it's finally here in the UK.
Oh, definitely.
We're actually seeing daffodils, the sunshine is making an appearance, and there's just this, I don't know, this natural energy in the air that makes it the perfect time to do some real spring cleaning.
Yeah, but we are not talking about, like, dusting the corners of your home office here. We're talking about spring cleaning your internal business processes.
Which is arguably way more important.
Way more important. And to guide you through that, we should probably set the stage. We are strategists from Cocktail Creative, and we basically spend our days navigating these exact shifts.
Yeah, we live in this stuff.
We do. So whether you're an HR professional sitting in a massive corporate headquarters in London, or, you're a small business owner who's currently wearing the HR hat out in Essex or Suffolk, this exploration is specifically designed for you.
Because today's mission on the Marketing Mixer is dedicated to solving massive internal HR pain points. And we're doing it by looking at the absolute explosion of artificial intelligence across the entire employee lifecycle.
Which is huge.
It is. We're going to figure out how to survive the modern hiring process, how to track productivity without turning into a dreaded micromanager.
Nobody wants to be that person.
Exactly. And we'll look at how to build genuine remote team culture, and finally, how to handle the really tricky legalities of redundancies in the age of algorithms.
It's a totally systemic shift. And I think the most logical place to start is at the very beginning of that life cycle. Because, before you can even begin to manage a great team, you have to hire one.
Right.
And if you've looked at the current talent landscape of the hiring process, you know it is just bordering on chaotic right now.
Chaotic feels like a massive understatement, to be honest. What is the actual reality on the ground for someone trying to fill a role today?
Well, the best way to understand it is to look at the data coming from BBC News. Right now in the UK job market, vacancies are actually down by 12%.
Okay.
However, the number of applications per role has shot up by 65%.
Wait, hold on. Fewer jobs available overall, but a massive 65% explosion in applications.
Yeah.
The math on that just doesn't seem to add up if we're only talking about normal human behavior.
It doesn't add up for humans, no, but it makes perfect sense for automation. Because candidates are using AI bots to auto-apply to thousands of jobs while they sleep.
Oh.
There are literally bots available right now that will rewrite and tailor a CV for 1,000 different roles overnight and just hit submit on every single one.
That is wild.
Take a candidate highlighted in our sources, Jim Harrington, based over in Suffolk. After facing redundancy, he utilized this technology and applied for over 900 jobs.
900.
Yes. The sheer volume of applications flooding into HR departments is just completely unprecedented.
So wait, if candidates are using AI bots to spam applications and employers are using AI keyword scanners to screen them, aren't we just watching an AI arms race?
Basically, yeah.
It's like two robots talking to each other at a lightning pace while the actual humans just wait outside the room hoping for a match?
You're hitting on the exact core issue there. It is an arms race, which is exactly why HR has to fight back with smarter tools, not just faster ones.
Right.
Because if you rely on old-school keyword scanners to filter out those thousands of applications, you are going to lose the best candidates. Instead, we're seeing the rise of AI sourcing agents, platforms like Mindhunt AI.
Okay, so if an old-school keyword scanner is like using a rigid plastic stencil where the shape has to match perfectly, is this new AI more like an actual detective reading between the lines of the CV?
That is a much better way to look at it, yeah.
Yeah.
The mechanism driving this is the shift from Boolean search strings to natural language processing.
Okay.
Instead of looking for exact matching letters and penalizing a candidate because they, didn't use your specific corporate jargon, natural language processing looks at the neighborhood of words.
The neighborhood.
Yeah, it knows that a front-end engineer with React experience and a React developer live in the same neighborhood based on millions of data points. You just describe the ideal candidate in plain English, and the AI understands the context.
That makes so much sense.
And this unlocks what we call skills-based hiring.
Meaning you're looking beyond just a, prestigious university degree or a highly specific past job title.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
The AI looks at actual capabilities, project experience, and skill adjacencies. It maps out how a skill learned in one industry easily transfers to another.
Oh, that's clever.
And furthermore, it finds the passive candidates who aren't even applying but might be open to a move, which allows you to completely bypass that flood of auto-generated spam applications and hand-picked top talent.
It sounds incredibly efficient, but, there has to be a friction point here. Relying on an algorithm to decide who gets a foot in the door seems kind of risky.
The risk is substantial, actually, and it really comes down to the limitations of historical data. You might recall that highly publicized case from a few years ago where Amazon had to scrap an AI recruitment tool.
Oh, right. I remember that.
Yeah, it wasn't that the AI was inherently malicious. It was simply a highly efficient pattern-matching machine. Because the historical data it was trained on featured predominantly male candidates, the algorithm mathematically deduced that male traits were the preferred variables for success.
Yikes.
Exactly. It optimized for the past, which meant it actively penalized highly qualified candidates whose CVs featured words like, say, women's chess club captain. AI learns from human data, which means it seamlessly replicates historical imbalances.
Which is a terrifying prospect if you just set the software to run on autopilot. It really highlights why you can't just blindly trust the machine's output.
You absolutely cannot. And there's another fundamental limitation to keep in mind here. As Zest for Talent points out in our sources, an AI can assess a CV in seconds. It can verify hard skills and map those adjacencies we talked about.
Sure.
But it can never assess emotional intelligence. It cannot gauge a candidate's physical presence, their confidence under pressure, or, their communication style.
Right, the human elements.
Yeah, and perhaps most importantly, an AI cannot sell your company culture to a top-tier candidate.
Right.
Recruitment is a two-way pitch. Candidates want to feel understood and valued, and an algorithm just cannot build trust.
So AI can find the humans, but evaluating them once they are actually inside the building is a completely different challenge. A CV is static data, but daily employee performance is messy, it's emotional, and it's constant.
Very messy.
Which kind of brings us to the next massive pain point, tracking productivity. How does a manager handle the nuances of a bad Tuesday without becoming a micromanager?
It's the classic HR tightrope, isn't it? And the first thing we have to acknowledge to solve it is that the traditional once-a-year performance review is fundamentally broken.
Oh, completely. I don't know anyone, whether they're managing a team of 5 in Essex or 500 in London, who actually enjoys that annual process. It feels so disconnected from daily reality.
Because it's entirely episodic rather than continuous.
Yeah.
It's mentally exhausting for managers to try and remember a whole year's worth of work, so they just rely on recency bias, just remembering what happened last month.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, it causes massive anxiety for employees. But now tools like SAP SuccessFactors, Factorial's One AI Agent, and MeHCM are completely changing this dynamic.
So how do those tools actually change the day-to-day workflow for a manager, like practically speaking?
Well, they turn the annual review into a continuous evidence-led dialogue. Throughout the year, these AI systems are quietly aggregating data. Instead of a manager scrambling to remember what happened in February, the system looks at the metadata. It reads the completion times on project management boards, aggregates one-on-one meeting notes, pulls in peer feedback scores from shared channels, and tracks objective sales metrics.
That's a lot of data.
It is. Then, when it's time for a review, the AI instantly synthesizes all that messy, scattered data to draft a concise, structured review narrative, and it even generates SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound.
Okay, here's where I have to play the skeptic for a second. If you're listening to this and you dread performance reviews, having a machine do it sounds great. But if I have an algorithm write my employee's review, doesn't that strip the humanity entirely out of human resources?
It's a valid concern.
Like, how does an employee feel knowing a piece of software graded their year?
That is the exact fear many people have, but it stems from a misunderstanding of how the technology is actually deployed. The reality relies on a concept outlined in the GP AI at Work report. It's called human in the loop.
Human in the loop? What does that actually look like in practice for, say, our small business owner out in Suffolk?
It means the AI does not make the final judgment. It is an assistant, not a manager. The AI does the administrative heavy lifting, organizing those scattered notes, checking the tone to ensure it's not overly harsh, and just formatting the document.
Got it.
The manager still has to review, edit, and ultimately own that feedback.
So it's essentially like having a highly efficient administrative assistant prepping your brief before a major meeting.
Precisely. And the brilliant paradox here is that by using a machine to write the initial draft, you actually increase the humanity of the process.
How interesting. How so?
Because the manager's mental load is significantly lowered, they have more free time and emotional energy to have a genuine, empathetic, face-to-face conversation with the employee. They aren't stressed about finishing the paperwork. They can focus entirely on the person sitting across from them.
That is a massive reframe. It's not about replacing the manager's judgment. It's about freeing them up to actually act like a leader rather than a data entry clerk.
Exactly. But we must issue a strict warning here. AI should be used for synthesis, not spying.
Yes.
We are talking about using AI to aggregate notes and feedback that the employee is fully aware of. Using AI for covert surveillance like tracking keystrokes, monitoring idle time on a mouse, or analyzing private communications is a fast track to destroying employee trust.
Oh, absolutely.
It shifts the culture from collaborative to deeply paranoid.
And nobody wants to work in a surveillance state, which naturally leads us into the concept of team culture. Because managing a team is not just about measuring their output, it's about keeping the human beings glued together.
That's the hardest part.
It is. And that feels incredibly difficult right now with so many distributed and remote workers.
Yeah, when you aren't in the same physical office, you lose those casual water cooler moments where culture naturally forms. You lose the overheard conversations that provide context. But Atlassian recently highlighted a major shift in how we solve this.
No. What did they suggest?
They suggest moving from using AI purely as an individual productivity tool to giving AI a seat on the team.
Giving AI a seat on the team, like literally adding a bot to the project group chat.
Yes, exactly. By integrating AI into shared communication platforms like your Slack channels or your project management boards, the AI acts as a shared infallible memory.
Oh, wow.
In remote work, context gets lost so easily. Decisions are made in direct messages, information gets siloed, and people in different time zones just fall behind. An integrated AI can instantly recall why a specific design decision was made 3 weeks ago, or summarize long, chaotic threads for someone who is off sick.
That's brilliant. Trying to manage remote culture often feels like trying to conduct an orchestra where half the musicians are playing from a different sheet of music in a different time zone.
Yeah.
But integrating AI into a shared platform is like giving them all a shared digital metronome. That makes so much sense. But let's talk about the fun side of culture.
Let's do it.
Because I was reading through the sources from Salonique, and there are ways to use AI to completely take over the headache of team building.
Which is huge because organizing team events is notoriously time-consuming for HR.
It is exhausting. Trying to figure out logistics, cater to everyone's dietary tastes, and find a date everyone is free. But using tools like ChatGPT, HR can act as a master party planner in literally 15 minutes.
It's amazing.
You can prompt the AI with your team's demographics and your budget, and it will generate packing checklists, interactive virtual retreat schedules, and even write custom pub quizzes based on inside company jokes.
I love that.
But the real insight here isn't just event planning.
No, it goes much deeper than logistics.
Yes. There's a brilliant example from a Reddit user in our research. They had everyone on their team submit their personal and professional goals for the year to ChatGPT. Then, they asked the AI to cross-reference all of those goals and find unique, actionable ways that team members could help each other achieve them.
That is an incredibly sophisticated use of the technology. It's mapping out hidden collaborative pathways in human networks that a manager might never have spotted on their own.
Exactly. It creates these organic mentorship moments. If someone in marketing wants to learn basic coding and someone in IT wants to improve their public speaking, the AI pairs them up.
That's fantastic.
The takeaway here is that AI handles the tedious mapping and logistics of team culture, so you, the HR person, can actually step back, participate, and foster those relationships.
It elevates HR from event administrators to active community builders.
Yeah.
But as we know, HR isn't all pub quizzes and seamless onboarding.
No, it is not.
We have to discuss the harder aspects of the job. Sometimes you have to make tough calls, and AI is fundamentally changing the landscape of redundancies and restructuring.
Yeah, this is where things get really heavy. What is the macro view of what is happening globally that's forcing these conversations?
Well, the scale of change is pretty staggering. According to the World Economic Forum, An estimated 92 million jobs could be displaced globally by 2030 due to AI automation.
92 million.
Yeah. Now, that does not mean 92 million people are permanently unemployed. It means jobs are being radically redesigned.
Well,
As Consult HR points out, we are seeing massive task shifting.
right.
Routine cognitive tasks are being handed to algorithms, which leads to reduced hours for certain roles and inevitable departmental restructuring.
So companies are restructuring to adapt. But there's a fascinating twist here that I found in the notes from the law firm Bird and Bird. It's not just employers using AI to restructure.
Oh, no.
Employees are using AI to fight back when their jobs are on the line.
It is a rapidly emerging dynamic that HR departments are really struggling to adapt to.
During redundancy consultations, HR departments are suddenly receiving these incredibly lengthy, highly complex, and combative grievance letters from employees. People facing redundancy are basically feeding their situation into ChatGPT and asking it to generate highly legalistic arguments to challenge their employers.
It creates a highly intimidating environment for HR professionals. I mean, you suddenly receive a 10-page document citing obscure case law and dense legal jargon, and it can feel like you're instantly locked in a massive legal battle with a seasoned employment lawyer.
And the underlying mechanism making this so difficult is what we call the asymmetry of effort. It takes an employee 10 seconds to type a prompt into ChatGPT to generate a 10-page legal threat.
Right.
But it takes a human HR professional 10 hours to read it, investigate the claims, and draft a compliant response. So how does HR handle this intimidating new tactic?
The advice from legal experts is crucial here. The absolute vital strategy to combat this asymmetry of effort is prioritizing face-to-face engagement.
Wait, why does putting them in a room neutralize a 10-page legal document? If the law is the law, what does a physical meeting or a Zoom call actually change?
It changes the dynamic by breaking the illusion of the AI. In written correspondence, the employee might sound like they have a master's degree in employment law,
Yeah.
but when you sit down with them, you create a natural setting for dialogue. By speaking in person, HR can test if the employee actually understands the complex legal jargon their AI generated, or if it is just a bluff. You simply ask them to explain the points they raised in their letter in their own words.
Ah, so you force them to operate at the speed of human thought rather than the speed of an algorithm.
Yes. And often there is a stark disconnect between their confident written persona and their actual understanding of the situation. And the experts advise maintaining incredibly robust documentation of these meetings.
Always document everything.
Always. If the employee cannot explain their own written submissions, you document that fact. Furthermore, you must stay firm against repetitive AI-generated complaints. Just because an AI can generate 20 different variations of the same grievance doesn't mean you have to entertain endless loops of consultation.
That makes sense.
If you've answered the core point reasonably, you document it and you close the point.
That requires a lot of confidence and a really strong paper trail from the HR professional.
It does. And there's one more critical risk here during restructuring. HR needs to ensure employees aren't breaching data privacy in the process.
Oh, right.
If an employee is feeding confidential company information or sensitive data about their colleagues into a public AI bot to generate these legal letters, that is a massive security breach. Employers must establish clear policies on AI use to prevent sensitive corporate data from being uploaded to public servers under the guise of an employment dispute.
Wow. Okay, when you pull all of this together, what we're seeing is that AI is completely rewiring the power dynamics, the efficiency, and the culture of the workplace. Let's do a quick recap of this incredible journey we have been on today.
It has been a very comprehensive look at the entire life cycle.
We started by looking at how to survive the AI recruitment arms race, using smart natural language sourcing tools to cut through the noise of bot-generated CVs. Then we looked at automating the administrative nightmare of performance reviews to allow for real human-in-the-loop coaching.
Which is so important.
Absolutely. We talked about how to map hidden collaborative pathways to build remote team culture. And finally, we navigated the very real, highly intimidating challenge of AI-assisted legal disputes during redundancies.
It is a phenomenal amount of change to digest, especially if you are trying to manage these systems while also keeping a business running day to day.
Which brings me to a really important reminder for you listening. Navigating this asymmetry of effort and technological shift is overwhelming, which is exactly why we do what we do. As strategists at Cocktail Creative, we can help you navigate all of this.
You do not have to become a machine learning engineer overnight to run a successful HR department.
No, definitely not. We can act as the interpreter between your business and the technology, auditing your current presence and implementing these exact systems we have talked about today.
We tailor the technology to fit your specific human needs, ensuring you get the efficiency without losing the culture.
But we also know that many of you, especially our small business owners out there, are incredibly hands-on.
We love a DIY approach.
We do.
Yeah.
So if you prefer to get your hands dirty with a DIY approach, I am so excited to announce that there is now a comprehensive downloadable guide available to buy in the Cocktail Creative Shop. It covers step-by-step instructions for all the HR and AI topics we've discussed today. It's your ultimate manual for bringing your business processes into the future on your own terms.
It is a fantastic resource if you are looking to take immediate, practical action.
Well, this has been an incredibly eye-opening conversation. We have covered a lot of ground. Before we sign off, what is the one thought you want to leave our listeners with today?
I want to leave you with a provocative thought, building on everything we've discussed about AI taking over the busy work. If AI eventually takes over 100% of the administrative paperwork, the scheduling, the legal drafting, and the raw data analysis in human resources, does that mean the HR professional of the future will essentially shed the administrative title entirely and just become a dedicated workplace psychologist? Something to think about as you enjoy the spring sunshine.